Pennyhooks Valley in South Oxfordshire, on an east-west alignment and just over 1 kilometre in length. It has a brook meandering through it that flows into a river anciently called the Lenta. It was carved out through the limestone bedrock by meltwater from the Anglian Ice Age just under 500,000 years ago. Ahead, on the left, is an alluvial fan of silt on which terraces were made by human activity. On the right, there is a natural spring, which exudes a constant flow of clean, fresh water all year round. There are many interesting geological features throughout the valley, some ancient, some forming now, such as the Oxbow Lake below. With permission from the two landowners either side of the brook, I set out to try and understand how the valley might have been used during the Stone Age. I decided on a strategy of random test pitting, 1 metre square. To quote the late but great archaeologist Mick Aston, you can never have too many test pits. I started to find flints straight away. At the spring, I discovered many in the water and lots of debitage. And also pottery. I soon learned that there is a natural church stone that occurs in the valley, but in general of poor quality. It is very distinctive in colour and given the nickname by one of my lady helpers of toffees, which name stuck. Regular flint isn't found naturally in the valley, so must have been brought in by other means. Many flints were crude and didn't resemble most of what is seen in the guidebooks, but I suspect that is the case on most sites. This little knife has been beautifully sharpened by retouch, as have some of these. But there were some tools that were regular in shape, giving the impression that it may have been a local communal design or perhaps a family design. There have been two excavations 2 miles away at the village of Watchfield over the last 20 years, both ahead of building projects. I visited the Oxfordshire Resource Centre and was allowed to access the flints that had been found, and there were remarkable similarities. In the area above the spring, several test pits produced tools and cores. This discoidal knife was a particularly good example. On the south side of the valley, there was one area that I believe delineated an ancient riverbank. I discovered it with a test pit containing tools. Other pits heading west produced more tools and cores, but either side there was nothing. The lower edge on this tool is very finely retouched. The white sticks represent the edge of the ancient bank. The terraces were made on an alluvial fan, but it is not known who built them. I dug several test pits on the terraces, but found very few flints. So I decided to put a trench in on this raised feature to the side of the terraces. The trench produced 71 flints and seemed to be from the late Neolithic period. The material was mixed up and lacked stratigraphy, as though it had been dumped there. Could it have been the spoil from cutting the terraces? Could it mean that they date later than the Neolithic? On the north side of the valley, I examined another feature. What were these two raised lines? Excavation of the feature and several test pits produced flint tools and much debitage, but many of the flints were on top of medieval, Roman, and Iron Age pottery, all mixed up. The lines were known as headlands, caused by ploughing. Although my project, carried out over 2 years, may not have been conducted according to strict archaeological protocol, I feel that I have contributed to our knowledge of the Stone Age. In my opinion, this valley was used by people from the late Mesolithic onwards for hunting, fishing, and making clothes, rather than for habitation. I hope you have enjoyed this brief visit to Pennyhooks Valley.